So this would be a good example of the difference between playing with your ego and playing more objective, detached, and let the sound be, right? So I'm gonna play right now without true voice. It's already kind of good. Now let's see what's gonna happen when I start improvising and more connecting to my true voice. It's the same everything. Okay. There is definitely a very subtle difference. I don't know if you were able to catch that. Definitely you'll see in the video with good microphone. It's also good, but here you're actually really listening to something much bigger than you are and let it lead you. See.
For me, it was like we play this together. We and even Debussy, the three of us. This is about self-validation for true voice. How to understand that you're doing it right. This may sound like superstition, but the phenomena is something like this. You start playing, or you have intention in your mind, and exact the same time when the thought of the next note is rising, you feel a feedback from your surround environment. For example, I was working with my student, and I asked him to play one note, to listen to this one note, and I decided to totally trust him, because I found that even if I think too much about student, if I care about him too much, he do bad. He performed badly. But if I delegate to him, to treat him as a master, even though he only starting his journey in music, but when I delegate him, I start to listen, and he started play one note, and sounds in my room become quiet. The wind out the window become quiet, and the berry on the cake, the вишенкой на торте, become the lamp that did that thing. The lamp fall down. All these things,
Yeah.
cherry on top, yeah. All those things may be just like coincidences. We can take as a coincidence, but for me,
when you have that intention, of course.
Yeah, for my soul, there was a clear connection between all those things. So that's like when you play true voice, you like you dissolving with environment. You and environment are not the opposite things. You are just observing and observer, and the things that observed is one thing. Another thing, feedback about phrasing.
Tell me.
I have troubles with phrasing.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I sing. I remember you said I had still that moving thing, in moving energy when it should be static energy near the end.
Right.
And I decided to to make a change in the initial exercises and try to shorten the motif. For me, even the motif was too long, and I decided to not. But what if
Yeah.
And then gradually expanded it. That helped.
That's a nice method.
That helped.
Yep.
That helped.
To simplify it even more and then gradually advance and grow on top. In the last interval of the motif, you're kind of getting closer to the object, and you're trying to express a more right here, static energy. But somehow I'm trying to figure out what's the problem. Somehow you still keep lots of tension. So you sing, and I could hear it in your playing as well. You do something like this, let's say major. What I do is this. What's the difference? I need to figure out. And so when you play, you will also kind of playing. Kind of like that instead of.
I can feel the difference, but I'm not sure that I'm able to verbalize it.
The only word comes to my mind is to be more decisive there, because you almost kind of get frozen in that last interval in your energy. Hence the tension comes up.
Please repeat the word.
Decisive.
Decisive.
More
I don't know this word.
Decisive, решительный. More решительный.
So I need to be more decisive.
Yeah, so instead of you want to do yeah, in a way, something has to be faster, because you get frozen, hence посылаем соломку. It's like shh. And this whole energy of approach, the main interval, it has to be more. Yeah, it's the most important. It's up close to you. It's definite exhale, but there is also a more fast energy there. Because maybe that's where the word decisive was coming out of me, because decisive means, okay, I cut it, I decided. It's fast. You don't get decisive to be like this, you know. So you think slow, but with maybe a faster energy. I'm still trying to just figure out.
I still not quite understand the term faster energy.
Well, you know, when you're angry, we will talk about this more actually in self-confidence topic. But when you're angry, you have a very fast response. Small, that's it. That's it. I decided.
Mhm. I have a contradiction between faster and but still singing slow.
Yeah. It's again, you have those vibrations, you express through those vibrations your fast energy. You don't sing fast, but you express your fast energy through those vibrations. Yeah, this is good. Yeah. Yeah, so what I like now is actually your last motif, but you've changed something in the first three motifs, and in the first three intervals. I like your last interval. So keep that decisive energy. I suggest you also at home to do this. I've decided just to make a fast movement with your hand and just say, I've decided. I have
decided, yeah.
And so just to get that
Okay.
fast energy, I've decided. Yeah.
This is like a little superstition that can help you to,
Get the right
I do this movement and everything will be alright.
Okay. Tell me quickly, why do we actually even need to talk about musical image? I mean, it's quite obvious. You feel the music, you play it. So why do we need to study this topic?
Because there is a problem.
What kind of problem?
We all musicians, we want to express ourselves in music, but we trained so, I don't know how to say in English, закрепощенным.
It's called,
maybe.
yes, it's called, because we trained in a very vague way, we become more, we trying to express music and instead we end up expressing compulsive tension.
Yeah, we feel tense. We feel too much
There are
tension
blockages.
and not only in improvise. Because in my experience, I found that when I sit and start improvise something, I feel liberating. I feel freedom. I feel like But when I open music score, I start to feel tense.
Right.
Because this is something I need to properly do some stages, and that blocks my musical creativity and imagination.
Again, this all comes from a very vague explanation that we get from our teachers in the past. Not their problem. They didn't do that intentionally. They were just not taught as well. Very good. So they do their best. But we were taught in the past to just to play more emotional. And when we were not explained how to do it exactly, we started accumulating anxiety, compulsive tension, which leads to more anxiety, because the more compulsive tension you have, the actually less virtuosity you play, and kind of you struggle even more and you suffer even more. And the teacher then says again, well, that's not enough. Then you go again to compulsive tension. The teacher says, that's not good, anxiety, again compulsive tension. So you're stuck in a loop between compulsive tension and anxiety. And if you've been running this loop for quite a long time as a mad squirrel or hamster, sometimes for 20 or 30 years in your profession, good for you, you're quite young. So it's quite hard to get out from that loop. The only way is to introduce a different way of expressing your feelings. And this is where we're switching our attention to this magical gate, this magical portal between the notes. So the way to express yourself, your feelings through music that you play, is to feel and intonate, internally sing with resistance and glissando, that space between the notes, which creates those vibrations, those default vibrations, which is like a magic. Whatever you want to express through it, it will be manifested. So you want to express joy, you go to feeling of joy, and you sing, ah. You get these kind of vibrations. For me, I usually feel them quite high and quite frequent. If you want to express sadness, again, I feel those vibrations, they are lower and not that frequent. So, again, this is like, this is objective analysis of how it affects the waves of intonation, but we don't need to focus on that. Let scientists to do their job about that. All we need to do is that by changing those waves, by changing those waves, we will affect the muscle sensation in our palm. We will control tone and touch and time. And this is how we'll affect music that we play. You sing for me 1 interval in joy, 1 interval in sorrow.
All right. Joy. Sorrow.
I think that's good enough. That's why musical image is quite simple. As long as you keep working with the same idea, you express everything through this intonation technique, it works. Good. Now let's talk about how to apply it to actual music score. When do we need to change musical image? How detailed it should be?
I was first of all, I maybe would say that we don't need to change musical image too frequently. Technically, it may be 1 or 2 pages. Yeah.
What is interesting is why we don't need to switch with every modulation or with every harmony to a new musical image. So those very subtle nuances of changing of musical image, such as harmony, maybe even phrasing, maybe even musical form in the future, which all will bring in nuances to the original texture and color of emotional image of music. So they serve a little bit like when we speak. Let's say you meet a friend and you want to tell him about your amazing getaway to the coast last weekend, okay? And obviously the whole story is going to be in a joyful and major key. You will probably go into, okay, we arrived that morning and then that evening we went to that place and then at night it was beautiful there. You'll probably change the colors of the main texture, meaning changing the colors of your speech, of scenery, of description of what happened to you. But it still will be all expressed in a very major, joyful and positive tone. So those little nuances of your story are like harmonies and all those musical elements in your playing. So they will affect or more like bring up other beautiful kind of quality of shine and color and texture to your major character, your musical image. You will not need to switch your whole emotion when you change a little bit the topic. These are just the nuances of your story, which is told in a positive vibration generally. For example, if you see in the music that 1 or 2 pages just goes in a minor key, okay, that's a real switch, That's a really different story there. it has to be long enough. You see? If you
Mhm.
modulate to a key and you stay in that key for maybe a line or couple of lines, that's not enough. It's gonna only confuse your mind. You can still say, yes, in my beautiful trip to the coast, there were a few hours of rain. And it will still be a part of the positive story. But when you have a modulation where you stay in relative minor for, or whatever minor, you stay for a few pages, then you know it's a switch to a different story. Okay, so all I'm trying to say is just we really simplify here. We're not trying to complicate anything. The whole point of studying musical image is not to how to understand music in more details, how to switch your emotion more drastically and more often. No, it's rather how to actually express. I believe you don't even need to teach students about feeling music. It's such a personal thing. Of course, you can go into the background and study out of interest. What is the history of creation of this piece, where the composer was at this time?
To treat composer like a human, not like a figure on the pedestal, like a human as we. And this helps to build a construction of this personality of a composer. And I think this is not a bad thing to do. It's maybe a very interesting thing to do. Like, what is Beethoven for me? Not for everyone in the school, but for me. What is my Beethoven? What is my Schubert? And I think this is high end, the front end of our piano technique. The back end is like we're doing wrist movements, everything in our rooms, everything we exercising. A front end is thinking about a personality of the music for us, not for everyone, but for me. What is it for me? This is important. So in that perspective, история исполнительства is maybe a good thing, but not.
It is enriching your feelings.
We can construct for us what is it, and we can discuss with two people who really interested in it. We can, for example, me and you, we can discuss what is it like to play Debussy. What is it like to play Rachmaninoff? Not to take these stamps like
dead concepts,
but
exactly.
creatively create co-creation, together.
Co-creation.
And this might be so joyful, I think, so inspiring, because Rachmaninoff, this is not a statue. Rachmaninoff was a living person, and every day he was changing. Every day, like we yesterday we were different. Today we're new. Tomorrow we will be a little different. So this is a living process. This is interesting. And music is a life thing.
Yeah, I like that. Have you tried to sing in joy with phrasing?
Yes, I tried exercises with phrasing, and a little I tried playing exercises. But I tried this, and then I watched the video, and I saw that you play so very slow, those exercises.
This is very important to sing or play slow, because again, it's a little bit like with true voice. The more far away in time the notes are, the bigger the portal is. Alright, so it's much easier to feel, to grab this idea of expressing feelings through this intonation between the notes in a space like that, not in a space like this. So it's always a good idea actually to even start maybe singing a very large intervals in a very slow way, as a kind of kindergarten step, primary.
Joy, with phrasing on motifs. All right.
about singing the first two intervals without even vocalizing that line, with a very contrast in timing. I think this is very good for training phrasing, but since you already grabbed the idea of phrasing, now you can actually copy and paste the same sensation while stretching timing. So you don't have to, like what you've done was good enough. I could definitely felt phrasing in your slow singing, which is good. Good practice with the phrasing before. Well done. Before you start singing in sadness, that's a very good point. Have you noticed that I was introducing singing and playing in sadness using the same intervals that you use for major? Why wouldn't you go to singing minor? You see? And this is a very good point here, because you train that even if you have that a little modulation in your major piece, or let's say in this case, because you're gonna sing sadness using major intervals of major scale. So if was, let's say you have a minor key, right? And then you go modulate for one line where you have intervals of the major key, you can still feel it with your sadness. So that's a very good
yes,
tip
yes.
here.
I was thinking about. For me, it was like a little difficulty because I need to sing a sad, but it's still major. Yeah, but now yes, I understand the idea behind this.
You can sing major intervals with a minor feeling. I think you could help yourself with a little bit of dynamics. I didn't really felt that you brought everything to the last interval. God, we Russians so good at sadness.
Yes, yes.
It's in our blood.
Yes,
Depression,
yes. The sad music is easier to play than joy music for me. Yes.
It's in our blood. Tchaikovsky singing. Okay. That was good. So I think I would just suggest you, if any correction, just make sure you still try to have this distance. You start, I know you focus to express sadness, but again, when you apply it to the phrasing, make sure you start quite far away. And then you really reach it dynamically if you're not changing timing right now. Also the musical speech. Try to include it a little bit more when you have space in your mind to think about it. You see how much more meaningful this sounds. I mean, it's like emptiness compared to meaningfulness.
For me, was the first attempt when I really felt like every interval was different, and I was like on a path. So so the destination is here, and I go to path and I collect in those intervals. I collect second, then yeah.
Like
yeah.
in
For
the
me,
music
that's a
game.
good analogy.
Yeah. It was very exaggerating, but yeah. Yeah, I was just trying what you just said. Yeah, it's a good analogy. Well done.